like to introduce yourself?
I'm Ira from Yeasayer at Latitude.
At Latitude Festival in the year 2012.
Exactly.
But what year might it be in the world of Yeasayer? It might be a very different year.
No, it's still 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're grounded in reality sometimes. It is right now.
So what have you brought along to show us today? For your...
This is a bass made by a company in Australia called Industrial Radio. And for all the musos out there, it's a MIDI bass. I was doing some research into getting some MIDI pickups and came across this company. I think they actually there used to be in like the 80s, there was a MIDI bass that Peerbux put out. It was attached to like an external module, and it was a proprietary pedal board.
What sort of records would we have heard that on?
I don't know. They actually discontinued it, but it was these guys that had developed it, and then Peerbux discontinued it because it was too advanced.
Yeah.
And I think people just didn't really wrap their heads around it. They just played guitars. But these guys kept developing the MIDI bass, and this actually has sensors in all the frets. Every fret is routed out, and if you can see, there's kind of notching so that there is each fret corresponds to a different parameter. So you can set up different sensitivities, different MIDI programs, MIDI channels, all the wonders of stuff that you can do with MIDI and a MIDI keyboard, or it's basically a traditional device. It has a little 12 pin that goes to a little breakout box that goes to I'm running right now for live. I'm running it with Native Instruments Machine software, so right now it's all kind of in the box in the computer, but I also have I'm going to hook it up with a Slim Fatty and a Nord 2X rack mount that I have back home.
And what does it allow you to do that you couldn't do before?
It allows you to play straight synthesizers. So it also has a 1/4 inch, so I can play just regular bass. But this is basically just it plays MIDI notes, so it'll slave any synth basically. So it'll play any synth that I want to play, and it kind of expands the possibilities and capabilities of what you can do sonically and how you can mold tones and even samples or anything. I have it in, technically speaking, I put it in, it's called Poly 4, so it's firing on 4 MIDI channels. That way it splits all the strings up, and I can actually map the whole neck. So this part of the neck could be a certain kind of synth, a low bass synth. This right here I can program to be a flute. Up here it can be more like a piano-y kind of thing. So that during each song I'm not really hitting pedals, it's all done through, setting it up ahead of time and
so
rehearsal.
When you're playing it in your head, what does it look like? Is there I guess you have to have literally like a map in your head of what the instrument for that song is?
Yeah, I have.
Does it change so it seems
for
more
each
like
song
a lizard or a snake or something when you
No, I wish that's Bootsy Collins on acid. That story playing with James Brown's Nectar and the Snake. No, I kind of visualize the songs in on the neck. I kind of map it out. Each program I know that which fret the tone changes, and that's how I've kind of learned the material. And were your previous records, were they written the same way, or is this something you've introduced live to recreate the record? This is I got this after we did the record actually. So all the stuff on the record is done more traditional keyboards, samplers, or guitars and bass, and tweaked out in some kind of way. For the future, I'll use this a lot. I have a lot more facility on this instrument than I do on a keyboard, so it kind of opens up.
Having one less band member as well, if you can do everything with that, you don't need to take another guy out on the road.
Not necessarily. It's all about.
It just allows you to have 4 arms rather than.
Yeah, it just kind of expands, so I don't have to have a keyboard if I want to play certain synth tones. So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of, it's exciting just because of where this technology has gotten to at this point. Because it took away, you can get MIDI pickups for the bass, but they don't track very well. And the latency on this is pretty non-existent. So it's pretty exciting. It's also been exciting because I've had to kind of teach myself a new way of playing the instrument. So that's been kind of a nice process to have to approach that challenge.
I often hear about the way in which they're approaching the whole show changes when you've got almost like, it's not like a new toy, but it's a new instrument that's like, I remember PJ Harvey talking about when she found a whole different vocal range, but which allowed her to find a whole different side of a piano playing that she used to find quite boring. Was there anything where this
I think that that's something that definitely helps inform the way that we go about production. And the last record we rented a house, and the guy that owned that house had a lot of he had 2 different prophets, and there's all these tools that we had never used before that we took advantage of, and that informed a lot of stylistic decisions, and it was really exciting to kind of play with all these different objects.
Was there a point where you're like, we can't recreate that live? Or
there's always that, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times there's that point, but sometimes the live thing, you always have to kind of retranslate what you've done in the studio. So we're not really in the business of kind of note for note, tone for tone recreating. It's more like honing the arrangements down to figuring out what works in the live atmosphere. What, maybe we have to put the tempo a little bit faster, focus on one particular synth hook, and then, in the studio you can play with so many dynamics that you can't really do, that don't translate to stage.
I had someone once say it was a bit like translating a French novel. As long as you get the story still comes across. Doesn't necessarily matter if it's exactly the same meaning of the words.
Yeah, it's a very poetic way of putting it.
So you got a new record coming.
We do.
What can you tell us? Because I don't know how much people know about it yet.
It's amazing.
It's got a name.
It's got a name. It's called Fragrant World. Comes out August 20th or somewhere around then. We recorded it in New York, mixed in London actually, with Dan Carey. Recorded it with Al Carlson, engineered, and Abe Seaforth engineered a couple tracks.
And if you could tear up all the reviews that might come in, what sort of phrases might come out to describe it? If you did a kind of Bowie kind of patchwork.
Oh, I don't know. Probably effort. I don't know. What words do reviewers use?
Well done.
Yeah. Yes. On their third effort. ... That's not my job.
That's not your job.
Thank God.
So how is it an evolution of the previous record? I've heard a couple of singles and they don't sound a million miles from Odd Future.
Odd Blood.
Odd Blood.
I hope they sound a million miles from Odd Future.
Yeah, they sound a million miles from Odd Future. That's and whereas that record seemed like quite a transition from the previous record.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a crazy departure. I do think that we set out, talking about what we were talking about, speaking of earlier about different spaces, we were in a different studio, we had different tools, we were surrounded by, different opportunities and things and people to work with, different personal lives, all of that informs different aesthetics and aesthetic decisions. And for us, making any record is always an opportunity to create a singular statement that's separate from what you've done in the past. So I don't think it's a drastic departure, but I do think we managed to experiment with a few different things, challenge ourselves with a few different
do you have
production
a bridge version of what that statement might be? Is there
an abridged version? Oh God. I'm bad at abridging.
The unedited version.
The unedited, yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm excited about what we've done. I think we've gone into some new places, and it's taken us to, you know, a new live show and an ability to rethink what we do.
Good.
Is that good?
That sounds like the last word.